What's up, Houston Illini, and welcome to the 3-in-1 show, where we interview and feature a variety of University of Illinois alumni who are now living and thriving right here in Houston, Texas. My name is Brian Crawford. I am an Illinois grad from 2008, and today our featured guest is project engineer at Civitas Engineering Group Incorporated, Varenya Mehta. He's going to talk a little bit about his experience in his life and his career here in Houston. So, what's up, Varenya?
Hey, Brian, thank you so much for having me here. I know both of us have been talking and really excited to talk more about my journey.
I know, man. We've been like this. This is like several weeks in the making, so I'm really excited about the interview. Really excited to have you on. Really excited we got our times matched up. Um, so, uh, just real quickly before we get started, reminder about how this works. If you recall, at halftime of any Illini sporting event, you may remember that the halftime performance by the Marching Illini is broken down into three parts, ending with the Illinois alma mater, Hail to the Orange. So we're going to break up this show into three distinct parts as well. First, we're going to talk about how our guest chose the University of Illinois. And second, what their experience was like when they were on campus. And finally, what their life is like now in Houston and what their career path looks like now. So no matter how you're watching us, let us know how we're doing. Let us know if you feel like we need to bring someone specific onto the show. And please, most importantly, subscribe, like, follow, and make sure you don't miss any of the shows coming up. We have some awesome guests lined up here in the future, but we have a really awesome guest here tonight. So without further ado, Varenya Mehta, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian. Let's get started.
Absolutely. So we're going to go way back. From you are from India. I saw the town, and I'm going to butcher the pronunciation. Ambala, India.
Oh, it's pretty accurate.
Okay, near New Delhi, and then on the north side.
That's kind of like my hometown where my grandparents are. But I've for a big part of my life I have lived in New Delhi itself.
Okay, so like when you say home, New Delhi.
I call New Delhi home.
Okay.
Yeah, just because my parents are there right now. So if I ever go back, a big chunk of my time and my friend circle, and I would say about 80% of my relatives are in New Delhi itself. So
For those of us that don't know a whole lot about New Delhi, specifically, tell me something about unique about the city.
New Delhi is it's the capital of India. A lot of politicians. It's kind of like Washington D.C.
I can picture
For
it.
India, right? So you have like a big city. Like there's certain parts of the city which are just like the tech industry. There's certain part of city which are like just pure forest. There's certain parts of the city just pure like cafes. Certain part of the city which are just pure shopping experiences. So there's a
Did you
part of
say
Delhi which is like
forest?
forest. Yeah, a big chunk of New Delhi is extremely green,
I
protected
like that.
forest in it. Um, there's part of New Delhi which we like to call the fact that New Delhi is because a lot of it is expanding. You know how we say Houston and then Greater Houston area. There's similarly Delhi, and then we have NCR, which is National Capital Region. So it covers in a lot of local suburbs. Um, but apart from New Delhi, there is also a historical part of Delhi, which is Old Delhi. So you'll see a lot of old, extremely old buildings dating back to thousand year old, 500-year old um, buildings in there, monuments in there, which kings from different countries came in when they conquered that city. They built their own forts, their old towers, different parts of the city, really old mosques, really big temples, mega churches. It's basically where the whole India comes together because the capital region, everybody's trying to work there. So
That is really unique because there's not well. obviously there's nothing like 1,000 years old piece of property or building structures here in the United States. That would be really cool to kind of see that woven into the fabric of new versus old, and like that is really unique and awesome.
Yeah,
Uh,
you can go from like a 4 lane road or a 5 lane road to a half a lane road like that. So you have everything there, all mixed and matched. So yeah.
so following your kind of your trajectory here in your career, from New Delhi to Houston, I I understand you did get your bachelor's in India,
Mhm.
in engineering. But
Absolutely.
I'm curious, so go backwards for me. How'd you pick engineering? Like, did you know you were always going to be an engineer?
Um, no, quite frankly, I almost went into the Indian Army.
Really?
Almost. That was the only dream I ever had as growing up as a kid. I do come from an army background. Uh, a bunch of my relatives are or were in the army. My grandparents from both sides, grandfathers from both sides. My dad, my uncles, aunts, um, and so the influence has always been there. And then when, but then there's a thing in India where the culture says you need to get your basic education right. Uh, so my parents were like, you should get at least an engineering degree before you decide on your career. Yes. So I was like, all right, let's do that. And I thought, I'll get into computers. Uh, that sounded right for me because when I was in my high school, I had some coding courses and all those things going on, and everything was right for me. I didn't really want to get into physics, chemistry, all those things. I thought coding was the right thing for me. And end of high school, I took some exams, did good on multiple of them, had multiple offers to go different places, but somehow my dad was like, here's this thing, civil engineering slash environmental engineering, something different. Uh, and this is maybe like a couple of days before I had to make the decision. I sit down, I go through the syllabus, I go through what courses there are, and I'm like, all right, wait a second, there's something different that you can do. Everyone else is doing computers and coding. Can you do something else in your life? Do something different. Um, and that's how my decision for that went. But I know you may have some questions about that later on, so I'll stop here.
Well, yeah. It's interesting though, like how you got down a path, right? And you just went, well, everybody else is doing this. I'm gonna do something else, and then now you're here, which is awesome. But what I'm interested in hearing next is from your degree, from your initial engineering degree in India, like you chose the University of Illinois. What went into that decision?
Well, well, after my degree, again, I almost went back to the Indian Army.
Sure.
So I worked for a year in India, in New Delhi. Um, and turns out my boss is a retired Indian Army guy. His boss is a retired uh, general from the army. And I sit down and talk to them, and I say, hey, I think I want to go back. And they're like, you've seen Indian Army, uh, like the life and everything for the last 20 years, right? This is your chance to go out and literally see the world, travel. And they convinced me that I need to go out and travel. So I was like, all right, let's look into some options. And luckily for me, my best friend at that point of time got into National University of Singapore. So he was going out. I got some, an idea of how it works. Um, and I was like, all right, let's sit down, make some shortlist some colleges, and let's see where I can apply. And then I thought, I'll go all out. There were friends who were doing 2 colleges, 3 colleges. I was like, let's go all out. Let's apply for as many as I can.
So your best friend, okay, the objective is to go see the world, and your best friend went to Singapore,
Mhm.
but you ended up in the middle of a cornfield in the middle of Illinois, which I love. And this whole show is about the University of Illinois, and we are very fond of it, and I know that. But um, so how many did you end up applying for, and what did it come down to with the choice?
I think I ended up applying for 15, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
Uh, maybe 20, maybe 20. I think I applied at 20 places. Uh, at the end, there were five more that I applied within India just because I wanted to have some backup.
Sure.
But 20 places, out of which I think I got into Cornell, I got into Carnegie Mellon, Georgia Tech, Arizona State, and Illinois.
Hey, list those off again for the kids listening at home.
Carnegie Mellon,
Uh-huh.
Cornell,
Uh,
Georgia Tech,
uh-huh. Yeah.
Arizona State,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and Illinois. There were a bunch of others, but Arizona State and Georgia Tech were my safe colleges.
And you chose the University of Illinois because of how awesome it is.
Absolutely.
I love that. Yeah, and one of the things that I want to make sure that everybody here in Houston that may be considering the University of Illinois as an option, more specifically for an engineering career. Yes, we have the whole gambit, right? But specifically, engineering is here, and there's not a lot else behind that, right? Or sorry, in front of the orange and blue in that category. But so let's move forward. You've made the decision to come to Illinois. Was that an overwhelming experience to be here? You wanted to travel the world, right?
My mom didn't want me to make the move. My dad was fine with it, but I thought if there's one place where I can talk in English without trying to, I didn't want to learn a new language. If there's one place I can do it easily, it's US. So that helped narrow down the choice. But moving, I've traveled almost every other year in my life. Every alternative year I've traveled. I've probably been in more than 8 schools, high school,
Wow.
middle school. Like I've probably been in about 10 to 15 cities in India. So moving wasn't really a big issue. Yes, it's a new country, but as an optimistic person, or overly optimistic person, if I may say so,
Yeah.
I was just extremely excited. Before I made the move, I found about 10 other kids like me who were traveling from India to Illinois in civil engineering. We made a
Okay.
WhatsApp group, and since I knew there were more people similar to me, we met up before we made the move. We discussed our logistics. We all booked the flights on the same exact flight. We were a
Hey,
bunch of 10 to 15 kids sitting in the same row, and we're like, let's do this.
if we're all gonna do this together, and get into a lot of trouble and make bad decisions and go try to build a career for ourselves. We might as well do it together, right?
Let's do
Oh
it.
no, I mean if we get lost, we all get lost. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things, I guess. But that's amazing that you were able to. I think being alone and exploring that next step is a little bit overwhelming and scary, but since kind of takes the edge off when you have a group of friends around you.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. That helps a lot.
So what was kind of the stuff that you decided to get involved in once you got to Illinois? And things are different here because this is your master's degree, rather than your undergrad, right? So walk me through that a little bit.
Well, like I said, I'm extremely optimistic and a happy-go-lucky guy. My first semester was not like that at all. It was exactly the opposite of how I imagined. Um, I I'm not really a party person, but I do like to go out and enjoy. But when I arrived here, sure, you don't know anyone, but the one thing that I was not ready for is how rigorous the curriculum is. Um, Back in India, we take about every semester in our undergrad we take 5 to 6 courses, including 2 to 3, maybe 4 laboratory courses, and you do good. Even if you're an average kid, you sail through. Like it's 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 all right. And maybe because it was a master, it was like a step up.
Yeah, yeah.
But I came in here, I signed up for 400 level classes, all in one go. I didn't realize a bunch of those classes also include your final year, senior undergrad kids. They are all ready. They have that. They know how to understand the professor's accent. They're tuned. They're focused. They don't have to worry about settling down. You're competing with those kids when you're coming in brand new. So, and let let's agree to the fact that Illinois attracts the cream, the top talent. So you're fighting for kids who have gone through a rigorous process and now they are there.
Wow, that's overwhelming. That's probably a pretty solid. I don't know, punch in the face feeling, I guess, when you first get here, and it's just a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
it
the toughness of the classes, uh, add on, a kind of a language and understanding situation.
yeah.
Um, that's a lot. Yeah.
I had a professor from Spain. So
Oof.
her, like, I've seen a lot of Hollywood movies and TV shows. My accent is fine. I can understand anyone else talking, but when you add a Spanish accent to it, uh, I wasn't expecting that. It hits you, and you're at a point where the professors expect that you're able to soak in information from day one, from the get go. And when you don't do that, you miss on the first lecture. It builds on.
Ooh.
So, but there was a saving grace. I met some like-minded kids. Uh, by the time I was finishing my first semester, I think this was a little bit just after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I met some kids. They were part of this, if I may say so, uh, a meditation group, a yoga slash meditation group. A huge shout out to them. Um, they carried me. Uh, you wouldn't believe this. First month in, and I think I took it particularly hard compared to my peers when I was there.
Mhm.
I lost about 10 to 15 pounds in a month, my first month at Illinois.
That's funny because I gained that same amount of weight my my first couple months there.
I did that in first month of my second semester.
Okay, yeah.
Again, but a big shout out to that group. We call them Yes Plus
Oh,
group.
nice.
It's a non-profit group at the RSO at the university.
Yep.
Um, but they they literally got me in, and they would call me up and force me to meet them every weekend or go out with them for an ice cream or dinner or something. I found friends for life there,
Love that.
just like that. So second semester onwards, it was a dream. Like, I fit in. I knew what to do, where to go, what resources there are that I need to utilize, what were the right things that I should be doing, how I should be preparing, how grading works, how rubrics works, how homeworks work a little differently, all those things. So second semester on I was prepared.
Well, it's a whole new system, right? Like what you said at the end, how you studied, like how the information is presented to you,
Yeah,
what we are going to be um, taking the exam on, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when it's all different, whole new system, whole new ball game.
Yeah.
Once you figured it out, that's amazing. But having those friends that helped you through that period. I guess what I was going to ask you beyond is, do any of them also live here now?
Houston. Well, there's a couple in Austin, and there's someone I just met, and there's someone I'm meeting in April. So I do meet them like every couple of months or
Yeah,
so.
bring them over here.
I'm planning to. I'm planning.
Nice.
I'm already hiring quite a few kids from Illinois. I think I just hired two people from my department.
I
From my
love that. Bring him to the next club event.
I'll do that. I'll do that.
Love it. Man, I'm off track. What was I going to ask you? Oh yeah. What's your favorite restaurant in Champaign? I'm curious.
I I I think that's an easy one. If you go deep in Urbana, really deep in Urbana, in the residential area, there's a restaurant called Huarche's Moroleon, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Huarche's Moroleon. It's extremely deep. Students normally don't know about it. It's
I don't know about.
Yeah, most of the people don't know about it.
Huh.
It's a it's a authentic Mexican restaurant. Really small, really small. Um, but they have the biggest mimosas you have seen and the tastiest Mexican food. And a lot of people are going to give me hate for this, but maize does not stand in front of it.
Oh, maize that like at first ingredient. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people love it, but you like if you ever go back on campus, go to this place, authentic, really authentic Mexican food. If you go there on graduation day, they'll be waiting for like hours and hours. So
That
people
sounds
will
right.
know. Yeah.
Um, okay, another part about campus life, right, is the sports. And in the big group chat, you're probably just as active as anybody in there with your hatred for the referees or the other team, and your affinity for our squad, right? What kind of sports did you go? Sporting events did you go to?
Uh, Funnily enough, I didn't attend any sports
Did you not?
events when I was at Illinois. I was just like, I'm here for 2 years. My first semester has gone away in depression. I have 3 more semesters left. The last semester would be left just for job hunting. So I have 2 semesters left to make or break my life. I do it or I don't do it. So when I was there, I didn't touch anything. I used to work at a in a laboratory close to the Eikenberry halls.
Yeah.
So I would pass through there very often, and I would see a lot of students playing soccer. There are some open basketball courts there in the corner
Yeah.
when you get closer to the Neil Street. Um, so I was really interested. I would pop in and play basketball here and there with folks, but I never officially saw an Illinois game. Um, but this whole
That is so surprising.
Yes, I agree. And back then we were not doing too good.
Uh,
There wasn't really a big motivation. Had Io Dosumu been there or like at his, I would have won, right?
he's the man.
Or even for Kofi. But when I moved to Houston, and then I think I was wearing an Illinois T-shirt. I was at Yellowstone, and someone just this old guy looked up at me and said, "Oh, Illinois did really good today." And I was like, "Wait a second, all right, let's see what this is really about." I came back from Yellowstone National Park and I started researching. I started watching basketball, and that's about when the basketball was taking off a few years ago, and football followed,
Yeah.
right? And that got me really interested. How we had our matches with Michigan, the last pointers, all the overtimes going on, and then the big, I think Penn State versus Illinois game where 9 overtimes comes on, right? And I'm like, all right, this is interesting. I need to get hooked on. And that, you know, those few games with overtimes, Ayudosumo shuffling and putting in the 3 pointer with zero point 0.5 seconds left. Hell yeah. Yep. That was, yeah, that's what got me in. And ever since I've been a diehard fan. One of the managers in my firm is an old Illinois graduate. So he used to be a big fan. So I got him back into the fold. Now he watches the game with me, and we do it together.
Oh, I love it.
I did. I did. Well, I can officially say I'm not a game virgin anymore. My wife is studying at Purdue right now. She's doing her PhD. So I
Mhm.
visited her recently at the Purdue versus Illinois football game.
Oh, those haven't gone well.
Yeah, they haven't, but the experience was really nice.
Yeah,
The Illinois folks had set up a huge tent there. They welcome you. Josh Whitman was there.
that's
Um,
really cool.
yeah, we saw him. We saw some other school coaches, but meeting people there who had driven from Champaign. We sat on a random table. Someone gave us their business card and said, "Hey, when you come in Illinois next, you're staying at our home, like in Champaign."
Love that.
So, all right, all right. So I'm all in now.
I love to hear that. Um, I'm going to switch directions because we still haven't talked about your life here in Houston. So where are we at? You've graduated from Champaign. Did you come directly to Houston to begin career
Yes.
after
So
grad school? Okay.
yes, I think I applied for about just about 500 jobs before I started hearing back. Um, and the moment I got my job,
500.
yeah, and the moment I got my job, right after that, within 2 weeks, I had 5 interviews lined up. Right after I got my job.
Isn't that
Yeah.
how it works? That's how it
It's
works.
always like that. It's always like that. But it's a really interesting story how I got in. I texted the owner of my firm on LinkedIn. Hey, I saw a job opportunity on the website, and I just graduated a week ago. Um, can we talk? So I had applied through their portal. I had reached out to a few folks, but then I had
Yeah.
went for the president. A day later, I think this was a Wednesday. Uh, I heard he called me out of the blue. I was sitting in Granger, helping my roommate go through his thesis stuff. We were chit chatting. He calls me while I'm in Granger. I go into the staircase area.
Yeah.
He interviews me, which is basically just wants to know me. No technical questions. He just wants to know how am I as a person, right? He knows me. He talks to me. He's like, "All right, your hiring manager will give you a call tomorrow." The guy, the hiring manager, gives me a call the next day. Similar thing. No technical questions, just very generic. What classes I took, what are my interests, and all that. All right. A day later, Friday, I get to know that I have the job, and they're like, "When can you start?" And my reply is, "When do you want me to?" So they're like, "All right, come down here as soon as possible." So Friday, I get to know this. Friday night, I pack. Saturday morning, my friends drive me to Decatur, which is the only place where there was herds, because Champaign didn't have herds back then. Maybe they do have now. Um, I got into a car, a RAV4, drove from Decatur to Houston, maybe stopped somewhere in the middle of the night. And then I was here Sunday morning. Monday morning, I started.
Oh, you rented a. You were in Granger on Thursday
Yep.
for the interview, or Wednesday.
Mhm.
Follow up interview, different person. Follow up interview, different person. Friday, we got the job. You go rent a car
Mhm.
3 hours away from Champaign.
Yep.
Got a ride there, and you drove to Houston to start your career here. That's an awesome story. I
Isn't that
love
what
that.
Midwest people do? They love driving
No,
to everywhere. No?
okay, yes, to move somewhere, but a lot of people take some time to think about it and go, well, I'm going to be strategic and I'm going to, put all my stuff in this movie, and then I'm going to, me and my person we're going to go. Like, you're just, and you, this is probably the crux of your optimism, right? Just whatever, I'm just going to go. This is going to work out. This could be great. And then bang, you're here, right?
Yep.
That is wild. No, okay, so that was around like you had graduated already then?
Yeah, I had graduated 18th of May, and I
Uh-huh.
think I get this call end of May, even though the laboratory I was working
You're
on,
right.
or maybe like first week of June, they had given me a job offer. So I was supposed to join them middle of June. I had accepted their offer, but the guy was so nice. He had told me, if you find, a job at a real consulting firm, go for it. Till that time, I'm more than happy to have you here.
Ah, that's you're a likable dude, man. Like that opportunity is not given to everybody.
But to
So
make it
you
up, the guy I left, I found a new person for him, and she worked there for 3 years. No burning bridges.
Okay. Okay. So you just good things happen around you. I'm gonna need you to go to like every football game for okay. What I didn't know, because there's sort of a little bit of a transition in like your LinkedIn profile, was that the company you got the job for initially is still the company that you work for today. You've just been kind of moving yourself up. So a couple set of questions here. Civil engineering, but specifically the movement of water, right?
Mhm. Yep.
I'm interested in how you moved down that path and got in that direction. If that was just kind of a byproduct of working at this, getting a job at this company,
Right.
and if that has, that this was absolutely the right career track for you.
Right. So generally, so my undergrad was environmental.
Right.
My master's was environmental in civil,
Sure.
but mostly focused on environmental stuff. Uh, Generally, environmental engineering has three different aspects to it.
Right.
There's a lot more nuances, but big picture, three: water, air, land/solids. Right, these three. Um,
Captain America.
so back in my undergrad, I did some water/wastewater
Yeah.
job or internship, if I may say so.
Okay.
I did air related internship, and when I graduated and worked in India for 1 year, I did a job where was doing air, water, and a lot of solids and policy and permitting stuff. So that covers pretty much all of it. Um, haven't gone through all three of that. I kind of got an idea of what area I wanted to get in. Um, and when I came to Illinois, one thing I knew, I don't want to get into solids, either air or water. I come to Illinois, and the laboratory I was working in was talking about, or the whole thing was carbon sequestration, which
Sure.
is the hottest topic right now. How do you get carbon out of the air and sequestrate it, reduce the carbon in the atmosphere, right? I was working on that.
Sure.
Yeah, so uh, that was a lot of air. Uh, and I realized, all right, it's not too bad. I've taken a lot of water courses at Illinois, which was amazing. I loved my professors. My advisor was a professor who was specializing in air, so that was perfect. I took a couple of classes with him. Um, while applying, I realized the competition in air side of our field is probably a little bit less. Not too many people go for it. But I also realized because the competition is less, there's also lesser opportunities.
That's fair.
So um, I was trying to apply for both the sides, but I kind of knew, if there's a market, if there's a client base, it's in the water side. Let's say you're talking to City of Houston. There's a lot of things that go into the water consulting side. Air, not so much. I don't really see anyone talking about air uh, in Houston. Maybe on the industrial side, but not on the municipal side.
Yeah, I guess it is a pollution
Yeah, it's
standpoint,
the
but
pollution, right? Uh, so it was a lot easier to find opportunities where we had the alumni base
you're right.
to reach out to. Uh, so I was mostly focusing on water, and
Sure.
also some of the internships I had done and stuff. Um, I knew I would do well there.
So you've moved through your career track here. You've continued to build up your portfolio. You've gotten involved in so many different things, like you're in so many organizations. Um, yeah, tell me a little bit more about that, because like you just keep layering on, layering on, layering on, like, both from a job experience perspective, and then just building other features into your world. Where are you going with all this? Where does this take you?
Excellent question. Um, Honestly, currently I feel the firm I am with um, has helped me channel a lot of different ideas I had in my mind. Um, I'm a person who loves to try every opportunity I get. I want to try everything. Um, a lot of places I do well, and a lot of places I don't do well. Growing up, I've realized um, there have been a few opportunities which worked extremely well for me. Uh, even when I was in school, there were certain environments uh, which worked very well with my nature. Then there were certain environments where I did not thrive well. Um, so I thought, when I get into this industry, if I find a place that fits my nature, that accepts the kind of goals and the kind of things I want to do and supports it, I'll I'm all for it. I'm sticking. Like, for example, people say, right, if you find a good manager, you stick with them. It's difficult to find a good manager,
Yeah.
a person who trusts you, who values you.
And on the flip
Um,
side of that, they say people don't leave jobs, they leave bosses.
exactly, exactly, exactly. So when I moved here, I the owner of my firm at that point of time asked me, well, why did you agree to joining this job, like what was about it? So I told him the 15 to 20 minutes I spent with interviewing with my hiring manager just told me that this is the guy I want to get trained under. This is the guy that will help me shape my future. uh, I arrived there, and ever since, I would say in the last 6 years, I did change. I did go through a team transition where my manager at that point of time has now become the company CEO. So I do have a different manager. That just tells you I was in the right team. That was the team that is growing up the fastest, right? The A team.
And you
Uh,
know a guy.
yeah, and know a guy up there, right? That always helps.
It's good.
Uh, the manager switch, the new manager I have, he's totally opposite, but he's opposite in a way that I feel is again pretty awesome. This guy is extremely involved. The first guy is extremely involved with your future. The second guy is extremely hands off. He lets you do whatever you want to do. Both ways, I loved it. Um, my firm supports all the nonprofit work I do, all the professional development work I do. Even till this date, at least in our industry, there's something called as a minimum billability percentage, which is basically out of your 40 hours of your job in a week, you're supposed to spend at least 38 hours working on stuff that the company is earning money for. 38 to 39 hours. Your 1 or 2 hours could be professional development or doing something which is shaping you up.
Who did that first? That was I just read a book about that, and I cannot think of that, but it's a new thing.
Right? Yeah, it pretty much all our competition, everyone does that. We need you billable 90%,
Yeah,
95%. That includes your vacation. The moment you take your vacation, your billability is dropping down. Uh, my manager, or at least in my team, they told me, till the time you're getting your work done on time, we don't care, what you're doing in your personal life. We don't care what you do professionally. So because of that, I've been able to have so many different goals. uh, I'm leading this American Society of Indian Engineers as the president. I've been on their board for the almost last 4 or 5 years.
love that.
The other American Waterworks Association stuff I do. Every year I'm going to these conferences. But most of all, the fact that from an early time in my career, they let me go and talk to the clients, take them out for lunch one on one, and just trusting me that I'm building the relationship and doing the right thing for the company. And today that those relationships are meaningful.
I'm sorry if you can hear my little buddy.
That's
Um,
fine.
he's having. Oh, I think he's tired. We took him to the zoo earlier.
I see.
Um,
So
okay.
yeah, so I just found a place where I feel really comfortable, and hopefully one day I'll be a part of the company where I am leading from the front.
I love that, and I love to hear it. And kind of speaking along those lines, right? As leaders, as leaders here, we want to kind of, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, right? Like we want to help pave the path for people that are coming um, behind us. And I think you and I have talked a little bit about it as far as bringing Illinois alums
Yep,
here
yep,
and introducing them to the right people and showing them the right network and saying, hey, we have this world of people that lives here. Similarly to the way that you got with your group when you came to
yep,
the University of Illinois, let's do all this together. Uh, you don't have to do this alone. And
yep.
if there is an opportunity here, there's a network of people here that are going to provide you the resources that you need, right? So, that's kind of my plug with the Houston Illini Club that both of us
Absolutely.
happen to be a part of. But uh, I guess giving the floor back to you to talk about some of the things that you're passionate about. Um, Anything that you're involved in. I know you said you were on one of the boards. What is something that people need to know about?
Um, that if you're wanting for me to talk about that particular board, it's basically
You can talk whatever you want to.
it's basically in Indian engineers, or engineers from Indian origin, who are now in US, specifically in the greater Houston area or nearby, uh, who want to connect with other Indian engineers, uh, and grow in the engineering space. Recently, I would say about 5 or 6 years ago, we also added the word architects. So we do now have architects in our nonprofit too. Um, and what's special is this year we are celebrating our 30th year anniversary. So I think I'm lucky that I'm the president the year we are doing our 30th.
Are you even 30?
Not yet.
That is something. The club that you're the president of now.
Yeah,
It's older than
absolutely.
you. Yeah.
And the
No.
fact that I am the youngest president ever, uh, leading leading the club at its 30th anniversary really tells you how they let you grow and how they nurture you.
That's actually even more telling about you as a person and an individual, and how much people love, respect, and trust you to move something that's had such longevity in the right direction.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to wrap this up and kind of put a bow on it a little bit. How do people get in touch with you? Because I feel like you're an interesting cat, and people need to know you. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
I think LinkedIn. I am
LinkedIn.
extremely active on LinkedIn. I think I make at least 1 to 2 posts every week.
All right,
Uh,
so we're going to put this show on LinkedIn and then tag you, and then go ahead and
let's
do whatever
go.
you want with it, blast it out.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, LinkedIn. That's where I found you. It's where I found all your information, and I really appreciate the getting connected with you.
Same here. I think it was good to talk about things, revisit a lot of nostalgia. So um, thank you for making me think about things I haven't thought about in a while. Good things.
Well, I that's one of my favorite things is getting to know people a little bit, peeling back the onion, understanding why people tick, and then where they're headed. Interesting storyline for me. That's why we're doing it. If you got any other guests that we need to really talk to, let me know.
I,
Um,
I may have a couple of interesting folks.
I love that. Okay, so um, we've alluded to it already on this in this within this conversation. For those of you that haven't heard about it, the Houston Illini Club's focus is bringing our Houston Illini family a little bit closer. The club, we host a ton of special events, and including Illini game watch parties throughout the year for football, basketball, and other large games and events, with the intent to get people who bleed orange and blue together and raise scholarship money for Houston area students who are then choosing to go to the University of Illinois. I know our goal is $4,000 this year. I hope we can eventually underwrite someone's entire tuition or multiple people. We do have some volunteer events coming up this Saturday. Volunteer with us at Kids Meals Incorporated at 9 o'clock in the morning. Register at HoustonIlliniClub.com. We have a game watch party for basketball at 1 o'clock on Saturday. We play Michigan State. I think both of us will be in attendance. But follow us on our Facebook, our Instagram, our YouTube, our LinkedIn. We are still working on some really cool things in the future. We also have our monthly business networking event. The next one will be on the 7th of March, a month from today. But that's all from us. Varenya, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you guys for joining the Houston Illini Club 3-in-1 show, and join us again next time. ILL.
I and I.
All right. See you later.